5,280 feet above sea level sits the ruins of a once mighty arena of spectacle and sport, a place where some of the finest athletes the world had to offer came to compete to prove who among them was truly the best. This until even they could no longer compete against the relentless wave of futurism, a place of great joy and forbidden travels, this being the Ring of Metal. As the Second World War came to a close in the end of 1945, the world began to heal from its terrible price. Its soldiers came back to begin their lives at home. In America, the growing post-war economy gave way to a great many things, including growth in sport and entertainment. In 1948, at the site of a former landfill, Bears Stadium was constructed for minor league baseball. Initially only having seating on its northern side with the ability to hold 18,000 people, but with hopes of bringing a major league team to Denver, the 1950s saw the stadium add an additional 8,000 seats. Unfortunately, the city wouldn't be awarded an MLB franchise for 30 more years, forcing the owner of the stadium into massive financial debt. Though Major League Baseball wasn't in the immediate future for the facility, football found its footing in the Mile High City, as Bears Stadium became home of the Denver Broncos. Due to financial stress in the ownership, the stadium was sold to the city and expanded the seating from just shy of 35,000 to over 50,000. This monumental shift was cemented by a name change many today long to return to, as it was christened as Mile High Stadium. Until the year 2000, the venue hosted many games, concerts, and other live events, including playing host to several seasons for the Colorado Rockies after the city had finally gotten its professional baseball team. Though historic, the stadium would be closed in the year 2001 as what was once then known as Invesco Field at Mile High was completed, leading to the subsequent demolition of its predecessor, with the capacity of 76,000 far surpassing the limits of the original Mile High Stadium. It's the ruins of this stadium that have endured into the 31st century. Known as a tainted place to the Nora in the distant future, the stadium has actually become known for what some may consider a present-day curse. This because both companies who partnered for naming rights, Invesco and Sports Authority, fell under financial hardship after the fact, both being unable to fulfill the term of their respective contracts. As of the making of this video, the stadium is simply known as Broncos Stadium at Mile High. Horizon's future, however, may see this change yet again. Currently, the stadium is still predominantly known as a football venue, but by the 2050s, the sport as a whole may have fallen by the wayside. From the vantage points left by Bashar Mati, we see the stadium has adorned a different moniker, simply Denver Stadium. This, however, is perhaps the smallest change to come in the storied venue. From his testimony, we no longer hear of the National Football League, or their team squaring off on the virtual gridiron, but rather tales of explosive robotic conflict. The following is a brief segment from Bashar's testimony. I'd seen teams slug it out on the hollow before, of course, but seeing it in the real was a whole other thing. The size of the machines, their speed, the way they bashed each other to pieces, it was intense. With football seemingly a relic of the past, this new sport evidently came to the forefront to replace it, a sport you can actually experience right now. From the vantage point, we can see a logo adorned on the side of the stadium, specifically the logo for Riggs Mechanized Combat League. Not only an Easter egg of another project produced by Guerrilla, but one that actually fits into the lore of Horizon's world. As per the official website of the game, it's described as being set in the near future. It fits perfectly within Horizon's overarching timeline between presumably the Clawback decade, the 2040s, and the events of the Pharaoh Plague in the 2060s. With Bashar's description of combat and scoring being essentially identical with how the game is actually played, it seems evident that Riggs MCL is canon within Horizon's universe. Much like the sports teams of today, their owners would be among the wealthiest entities of the era, such as the Hearts Corporation and Metallurgic International. Being that we see maps in Riggs outside the US, such as in Dubai and Rio de Janeiro, it appears the sport had a global appeal that American football never truly had. Unfortunately, as we all know too well, none of this would last, as the world was consumed by the nano-haze of the Pharaoh Swarm, leading to the tribal world we have come to know through the journey of Aloy. In the 31st century, the stadium stands as but a shadow of its former self, a tainted place forbidden to those who inhabit its surrounding area. After the massacre atop All-Mother Mountain at the Proving, the Cult of the Eclipse briefly took refuge among the Great Ruin, believing themselves safe from Nora vengeance. Though this reasoning would normally hold true, Aloy's blessing as a seeker allowed the tribe's war party to remain protected from the area's corruption, and led to the cult's defeat within the Ring of Metal. Though this place of sport, spectacle, and battle has lasted throughout the ages, it now sits only among the many reminders of a world that came before. A towering feat of the ancients, but perhaps its tale is not yet done, and may be renewed in a world that may yet have an even brighter future. And that brings our journey to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you really like what we're doing at the channel, come join our community and hit that subscribe button. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon to help us create new series and tackle new projects just like this one. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching, and keep questing.